So, have you ever found yourself staring at a blank screen, with that little cursor just blinking and taunting you while you try to write a wedding toast for your best friend? Or, honestly, even more daunting, trying to find exactly the right words for a eulogy? It is a universally dreadful feeling. You really want to honor them, you want the speech to be memorable, but you literally just don't know where to start. Well, welcome to this explainer, where we are going to completely eliminate that dread. Today, we're looking at a brilliant ancient classical playbook that actually solves the problem of perfect praise. It's called the Encomium, and I promise you, it's going to completely change the way you write and deliver speeches. Okay, let's dive into this. We're going to deconstruct exactly how to apply this ancient tool today. We'll start with the actual purpose of praise, break down the six-part framework, see it in action, figure out how to adapt it for modern life, and finally take a look at its dark reflection, vituperation. So, first up, we need a bit of a paradigm shift regarding what a speech of praise actually is. To really get this, we have to look at the classical progymnasmata definition. An encomium is defined as a composition expository of attendant excellencies. Now, I know that sounds like an incredibly dusty academic phrase, but actually it's not. It is a highly specific, highly structured method of praise. Attendant excellencies just means the specific virtues and great qualities that attend or belong to a person. So we're not just getting up there and saying, hey, they're great. We are systematically, methodologically, exposing their specific excellencies for everyone to see. And the core philosophy behind this is absolutely fascinating. Praise exists to model virtue for the audience, not just to flatter the subject. Think about it. When we give a toast or a tribute, we aren't just ticking a box to make someone feel good. We're literally holding up their life as a mirror to the audience and asking, how does this model help us become our better selves? We take their specific virtues, maybe it's courage, maybe it's profound generosity or patience, and we put them on full display so the rest of us can actually learn from them. All right, team, let's grab our playbooks and look at the core methodology here, the six-part framework. This is the compositional arc, the exact sequence you are going to run every single time. First, the exordium. This is your artful opening, establishing immediate credibility. Second, the origin. Where does this person come from? Their roots. Third, the upbringing, their education and how their core values were formed. Fourth, their deeds, their actual accomplishments. Fifth, the comparison, elevating them by comparing them favorably to someone great. And finally, the epilogue, a strong closing exhortation. If you can master these 6 steps, you have unlocked the art of perfect praise. So, let's run a quick scrimmage. We're going to look at a fast-paced, fictional 90-second tribute to a community leader named Eleanor, just to see how this matrix works in real time. We open with the exordium. Listen to this. We gather not just to measure a life in years, but to measure our city by the life she poured into its foundations. Boom. Right out of the gate, you have this incredibly artful, concrete opening. You establish instant goodwill, you set a solemn but really grateful tone, and you tell the audience right away that her life is completely intertwined with ours. Then we move seamlessly into the origin. Born to a family of steel workers on the industrial edge of this very valley, she inherited a resilience forged in fire and a community spirit as deep as the bedrock. Notice what we're doing here. We are praising her noble roots. We're showing the audience that her foundational strength didn't just magically appear. It came from her ancestors and the incredibly resilient place she calls home. Next up is the upbringing. Her youth was not spent in idle luxury, but in the rigorous study of the law and an unwavering formation in the timeless values of justice and civic duty. This is where we detail her education. We are intentionally connecting the dots for everyone listening, proving exactly how her strict training and adherence to the law shaped her unbreakable character. And now we hit the climax, her deeds. These virtues blossomed in her actions. With unmatched prudence, she navigated our city through crisis. With a generous hand, she leveraged her hard-won position to shelter the vulnerable. We are absolutely not just reading her resume here. We're explicitly framing her accomplishments as the direct results of her excellencies of mind, like her prudence, and her excellencies of fortune, like her position in the city. And this brilliantly illustrates the 5th step, the comparison. Like a modern Cincinnatus, she held immense power only as long as duty required, choosing the quiet triumph of a community healed over the loud demands of personal glory. You see what happened there? We aggressively escalate the praise by taking her achievements and comparing them favorably to a known historical great. It instantly, almost subconsciously, elevates her status in the mind of the listener. Finally, we conclude with the epilogue. Let us not simply applaud her memory today. Let us emulate her courage, leaving this room determined to build upon the foundation she's so selflessly laid. That right there is a memorable closing exhortation. We aren't just saying cheers or we'll miss her. We are issuing a powerful call to action, demanding that the audience actually emulate her virtues. Okay, Coach Hat back on. Let's talk about how to call audibles and adapt this classical structure for modern, everyday events. The most crucial thing to understand here is what bends and what stays rigid. Look at this breakdown. Whether you're doing a solemn eulogy, a super fun wedding toast, or a professional award speech, the six-part arc, that underlying skeleton, stays exactly the same. What shifts is simply the flesh on the bones. For a eulogy, yeah, the tone is solemn and you're focusing on a lifetime of virtues. But a wedding toast, you pivot to a joyful tone, you keep the origin section super brief and snappy, and you emphasize virtues like fidelity. For a civic award, you're obviously going to lean heavily into the deeds section. The structure is fixed, but the application, that's entirely up to you. Now for the final twist of our masterclass. Let's look at the dark mirror of this whole concept, vitupration. If encomium is the art of praise, vituperation is the exact opposite. It's the art of blame. It uses the exact same six-part structure, but completely inverted. Instead of an origin highlighting noble roots, you point out a corrupt foundation. Instead of an upbringing steeped in justice, you highlight an education in greed. You expose vices instead of virtues. And instead of an exhortation to emulate the person, you end with a really stark warning. What this ultimately proves is that this kind of epideictic rhetoric always works by holding up a mirror for the audience to judge itself against. It is incredibly powerful stuff. Which brings us to the end of this explainer. We've seen how to structure praise, how to adapt it on the fly, and how to use it to model virtue. But it leaves us with one unavoidable, honestly pretty personal question. What virtues will your ultimate encomium model for the world? When someone eventually uses this six-part framework to summarize your life, what deeds are they going to frame? What excellencies will they model for others to follow? Because the real beauty of understanding this framework is that we don't just use it to write better speeches. We can use it to build a better life.